It's the middle of December and it's just gone 5 o'clock, pitch black already. It's the time of year when a lot of carp anglers decide to stop going, real long periods of total darkness. And yeah, the fishing is tricky, no doubt about it. However, I've adapted my approach over the years, with huge emphasis being on finding them. And that doesn't mean you can't find them when it becomes totally pitch black. Using a bright light, or in more recent years, an incredibly bright head torch. I go about my business looking for actual fish or signs of fish, because whether you've got the best bait or rig in the world, if they're not in front of you, you simply can't catch them.
What is lamping? Lamping is a term, I believe, that comes from the shooting world, you know, where they go out of a night time when animals, let's take a fox for example, would spend most of his daytime hidden away somewhere, and he'd come out at night to feed. And they use these high-powered lights to sort of beam them up. And yeah, I quickly realised the power of one of these bright lights at night, and realised that I could incorporate exactly the same thing into my angling. You know, this time obviously not shooting the fish, but it allowed me to find fish at night. And very much like the fox, on certain venues, it could well be that those fish stay well hidden in the daytime, you know, when there's a lot of pressure, when there's a lot of noise, when there's a lot of footfall. And actually of a night time, maybe when a number of potential day session anglers go home and just the banks become quieter, those fish creep out and they creep into the margins and they appear in areas of the lake that you wouldn't see them in the daytime. And yeah, it just became a massive edge, being able to see things in the dark. You know, you hear a lot of anglers say that the most important sort of tool they have in their fishing is their eyes. I'm not a great angler for sitting there watching the water for hours on end. You know, the real good anglers do. They'll just scan that water looking for a show or a sign. But I am good at going and finding them, and I know the power of that information, that if you can find them and then take a decent bait and a decent rig and go about presenting that properly on a substrate and stealthily, then you really do stack the odds in your favour of getting a bite. It's important I point out to you that I don't want to be lighting up lakes, lighting up water. I don't believe the fish like it. It's a means to an end. It's essential that I do this in order to give myself confidence and pieces of information that I need. I'm not this guy that in my swim I've got like high-powered lights lighting my swim up. For sure, just like casting a lead too many times in the wrong situation or stamping your feet too much, a lot of light will scare the fish. It will push those fish away. They're not drawn to it as such. So I keep it to a minimum. You know, I'm lamping an area up, scoping around, panning across, looking, turn the light off. I want to do that job as quickly as I possibly can. I'll then move to the next swim. I won't even walk between swims or along the bank with the light on. A, to conserve battery, and B, because it's just really sort of intrusive of a quiet environment. All the wildlife's coming to life and there's me with a big bright light beaming everywhere. I don't like it. It makes me feel almost a little bit uncomfortable that I'm doing it, but I can't stress it enough. It gives me bits of information I just simply wouldn't have. I've mentioned that I don't like doing this in terms of I don't feel the fish benefit from it. A worse thing would be other anglers. So before actually putting any bright light on my head, I will often do a lap first with no light on at all. And that's really just etiquette to find out, is there anyone else on? If there is loads of people on, the bright light probably won't come out at all. If there's a couple of lads at one end, for example, I'd only do this down the complete opposite end. It's really intrusive and not fair on other anglers, especially as the general consensus is, don't put bright lights on. So, you know, it'd be really rude for me, for example, to rock up at a busy day ticket lake with a big bright light on, bowling around it in every swim, lighting it up. So yeah, a lap first, if you can, to ascertain, is there anyone else there? How many people are there? Where are they? and just be conscious, you know, that it's not fair on everyone else. The reaction of the fish is different depending on maybe the time of the year. For sure, when I beam up a fish in the winter months, they never dart off, you know, they never sort of scurry off. They sort of just sulk back into the depths or drop down maybe a little bit lower in the water because their metabolism's slow, they're not moving very, very quickly. But even in the warmer months when the fish are very, very active, I've never seen one, like when I've panned across, for example, or nowadays it's with my head, but I've looked across, hit a carp, it just go, you know, and power out. In the daytime, if there's carp chilling in an area and you sort of walk in there heavy-footed or a bit loud, or maybe you crack a big branch right at the water's edge and there was a fish there chilling, they bolt sometimes, you know, big eruption, or they just charge off. I've never ever once witnessed that when I'm sort of lamping carp. Sometimes they will sort of be quite motionless and almost very much like the fox scenario, sort of dazzled by the light. Sometimes they will just sort of creep off and drift off. I'm very, very clear on the fact that they don't like it. It's not something that they like. I keep it to an absolute minimum. Even if I do sort of spook the fish away from that zone, at least I knew they were there. You know, that's the important thing to take from this. It's given me a bit of information that I didn't know beforehand. If I'd have walked around without that light on, that powerful light beaming into the water, I could have been walking past 10, 20, 30 fish, groups of fish feeding, spots. Sometimes it's not even just about finding the carp, sometimes it's about finding a feeding area. I basically check as much of the venue as I can, every little nook and cranny, and it will blow your mind what you can bump into when you're on one of these night walks. Carp fishing for me is an obsession, but lamping is an obsession within that obsession, because you enter a world that other people don't get the opportunity to see, and you see it firsthand, up close and personal. And when you love fishing as much as I do, and the water and everything that lives in that, and you get to see it at night when everything's still and quiet, when, you know, it's just majestic. It really, really is. The fish behave differently. This is what I love, like when you look now, so you got him, then you got these, which look like, don't know, maybe rudd? Yeah, maybe rudd. And then look here, perch, baby perch just behind him. When you really stare, it's mad what you see, like mini perch there. I just love it. It's another world, a world that not that many people get to explore because they're tucked up in their bivvy, or they stay at home and wait till the morning comes round. I toyed for a number of years with head torches, but man, the batteries just drain so quickly on them. It's costing a fortune basically replacing them with AAAs, and they weren't really bright enough. So I was really happy, you know, about 2 years ago that we started to develop our own range of head torches, the Megalight being the tool for this job. It comes supplied with a rechargeable battery, which in itself is fantastic. It means that if I'm sort of jumping between venues, I can whack it on charge as I'm going. I'll often take a small power pack with me as well, just in case I want to top it up. But it also comes supplied with a small case that you can actually put 3 AAs into, meaning I do also take some batteries with me. It's the one that I do the lamping with. Yes, it does have 3 settings, so I can dim it right back, and there are times when, because it's on my head, I will use those different light settings, but it's not the one that I'd have on my head or around my neck while I'm sleeping or in my pocket. It's not the one I'd grab when I get a take. That's the little micro light. It's lightweight, it's easy to use, you don't really even know you've got it on there. It's got a really comfortable strap, and it's got a red light setting, so if I want to be really discreet, I can flick it onto that. The multi-light, as much as it can be worn as a head torch, I feel that's got so many other uses. It's got a magnetic plate that I can clip anywhere really on the bivvy or shelter. Same as on the van, I can clip it onto the van. It comes with a Velcro strap. That can be strapped around my barrow. It can be strapped around a tree branch on a far bank to be able to cast to. There's also a small rubber band that allows me to attach it to bank sticks and storm poles. That's a really, really versatile light for various different uses, but The really useful attachment with the multi-light is the ability to clip it onto the front of my bushwhacker. It's so nice being able to ship up to a set of trees or some reeds or an island and be able to see accurately that I'm not about to drop my rig over a branch, for example. If sticking a bright head torch on your head and going lamping carp is not something you've ever tried before, I really can't recommend it enough. Twofold, it opens up a whole new majestic world that I'm sure you're going to really enjoy and embrace, and also it gives you pieces of information you just simply can't get otherwise. And information in carp fishing, more often than not, means more carp on the bank.